While Deshaun Watson prepares for the NFL draft, there is a huge void in Clemson, South Carolina to fulfill those departed footsteps there as a legend moves on. We bring in a Ryan Cantor from Shaking the Southland to talk some Clemson football after the Tigers wrapped up a spring practice on Saturday. Ryan, how you doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So you got four quarterbacks in play, and I don't think there's any question about the ability on the field. It's all the intangibles and grasping the offense and being able to perform in the spotlight and make the right decisions. And based on what we've seen, the play at this point, possibly a bit sporadic.
Yeah, this spring game was really set up to be one of the more telling and interesting ones to attend. Quarterbacks were live, so they could be tackled, which that alone makes it much more interesting. Obviously, there's a big a quarterback battle, 3 or arguably 4-way quarterback battle, and the weather was perfect. So it was great to get up there. A couple things went a little wonky that makes it hard to draw too many big conclusions from, but we'll try. So quarterback on the Orange team, we had Kelly Bryant and Tucker Israel. Well, Kelly Bryant looked very bad, at least passing the ball. He was great running the ball, as he's always been. Extremely athletic, and that makes him high upside. 6'3", fast, strong, faster than Watson. Shifty, he had a rushing touchdown. So he got a lot of upside there if he can just be an adequate passer. But he was just missing throws. Third and 8, he's just overthrowing the guy by 3 feet. This was really discouraging. And then about maybe halfway through the third quarter, something like that, we're starting to hear through Twitter and whatnot, he actually broke his pinky finger. One of the very first plays of the game, you could see it getting taped from the Jumbotron, but you obviously didn't know that's what it was. So that kind of explains it. We've never seen him really pass the ball well, so we don't know what we missed out on. So that's still kind of an unknown. So he kind of came into that game as the slight lead for the starting QB job, according to Dabo. And after hearing the news about his pinky, you can't judge too much from that game from him, aside from his still good rushing skills. So he leaves as the presumptive leader. His teammate, the other quarterback who split time with him, Tucker Israel, was really on the fringe of not really even being in the competition, despite being a pretty good recruit. But he was great. He was by far the best quarterback of the 4 who played. He's generally considered lower upside, not super athletic as far as speed or arm strength or arm talent, only 5'10". But he made the throws you're supposed to make. He made good decisions. More of a conservative game manager type, which really hasn't been the model at Clemson. But if our defense is elite and the other quarterbacks don't work out, he has a low ceiling but also high floor. So the worst case scenario shouldn't be too bad if Clemson just turns it over to him. On the other team, it was tough for a different reason. The white team, the offensive line was just, it wasn't split up evenly, evidently. And then Sean Pollard left early with a sprained ankle. So they were just decimated the O-line. And true freshman Hunter Johnson, the 4-5 star, depending where you look, I guess, out of Indiana, he had no time. The snaps were terrible. Justin Falcinelli struggled with the snaps. So he was picking it up off the ground and then running for dear life. Similar situation with Zarek Cooper. He was not so much bad snaps for him, but just a porous offensive line. So they were rushed all day. They didn't look great, but it's hard to say that they're not going to be good when they have a more typical offensive line. So it was a little disappointing. They didn't look good. But I think between the offensive line, the pinky injury, and just a really, really good Clemson defense, it's hard to really take too much.
I think the telling sign right there, Ryan, is that they had a live situation at quarterback. That is something that you just don't see anymore. I have checked out 12 to 15 spring games, and I haven't seen a live quarterback in play during any of these games. So Dabo Swinney and his staff is apparently really needing to see how are these players going to perform under game-like conditions. So I think that's very telling.